Panago Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
All right, let me, I want to set something up for you. Jesse, this is the most Steve thing that I think has happened, at least recently.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I was like, I wonder what Adam's going to start the show. Oh, right, that dumb thing I did like 10 minutes ago.
So we because we have a special guest in studio today who I will introduce in just a second.
He's not as important as I am stupid.
Well, he ties into this story. Okay, so this is the way we need to set this up. So Steve and I decide to walk to Panago because we have a guest on, and the tradition is to have some Panago pizza. Mm-hmm. Jesse, you're on a diet, so you didn't want any.
No.
So we got the buffalo chicken pizza, which is amazing.
Where is it, you might be asking?
It's on our tummies.
It's gone.
But it almost wasn't.
Why?
It almost wasn't, Jesse.
Why, Adam?
Why? It almost wasn't, Jesse, because Steve ordered it online, and we walked into the restaurant, and Steve, myself, and special guest are sitting there. We're talking, we're waiting, and someone from Panago kind of looks at us and goes, "I'm sorry, are you guys here for something?" And special guest and I look at Steve and go, well, yeah. And
Pizza, right?
So Faizal Khamisa looks at me, I look at him. By the way, welcome, Faizal.
Thanks, man. Really good to be here. Really good to be here.
And we said, Steve, did you not tell them that we were here to pick up the pizza? And he's like, no. We said that we've been sitting there for 10 minutes.
So
We're being friends and talking.
No.
Sorry.
They should know that Steve walked in and was there for his pizza.
That's not the point.
Well, I said, did you expect them to know who you were?
It's not because I'm a hoity-toity
yes.
fancy man, which I am. It's because I hate ordering things, and I didn't want to be rude. They look busy.
So how do
I
you
don't
get
know.
stuff ever?
I don't know. I don't know.
You just expect it.
It's terrible. I love food and I hate ordering things. It's such a terrible combination.
Well, and by the way, Faizal, I think at that moment, that was the point where you understood. I think that was like the understanding moment. Welcome to the Steve Dangle Podcast. By the way, we are so happy to have you here. Been a big fan of yours for a while.
Thank you.
But I think the moment we truly connected, and this was well before we met, is when I went to the Grammys and I wore some sick ass shoes.
Your Quaker Oats shoes.
And Jesse and Steve and all these, podcast people who know so much about fashion were ripping me
I'm sorry. All these podcast people?
All these podcast people were ripping me about, and you were the one that came in and stuck up for me on those shoes. So I really appreciate that, man.
Those shoes were dope. Your style was dope, and I'm just gonna stare at you through this entire show.
Thank you.
Mostly because of that reason.
That's great.
So,
we'll just look into each other's eyes and ignore
blinders
these
on
two.
over here. And,
Exactly.
there's no one to my right or left in my eyes. Yeah. No.
Everyone loves Adam's blue shirt and khaki shorts.
That's right. Blue shirt. We have a blue shirt.
Adam got his Quaker Oats shoes at Best Buy, apparently.
I didn't get them at Best Buy.
You got them at Best Buy.
All right, so Faizal, quickly, for anybody that doesn't live in Canada, and there are many that listen that do not, how would you describe yourself and your position at Sportsnet?
Kind of like a jack of all trades at Sportsnet right now. Case in point, today hosted updates, which is my general shift. That's what I do every day. Half an hour on the hour. At the bottom of the hour, we do live updates, kind of informing Canada about what's going on in the world of sports. And there's always something going down, so it's pretty exciting and pretty fun.
And today we had the BJ Upton, Melvin
Upton Jr.
Junior trade.
Once a BJ, now a BJ again. But yeah, so that added
always a
BJ. Added a wrinkle in my day. Added a press conference in the middle of the day, which is fine. 2:00. Jay's general manager Ross Atkins spoke to the media about the trade. It was great. Kind of threw to it from the studio. Came back, talked a little bit, threw back to Atkins, who was with a couple of our reporters there, and then that's it. Stood down, did a couple more updates. And because of the Rogers Cup going down in Canada this week as well, it's a tennis tournament here in Canada. We have a Sportsnet Central show, which is kind of our flagship highlight show, but we have an afternoon, kind of evening version this week, bridging between the day session and the night session. So I was hosting that as well with one of our anchors as well. So it was a busy day, but
I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts there.
You two, what you guys share is you're both on my television an obnoxious amount of time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Like, I can't escape either of you.
Thank goodness we know how to dress, Steve.
Okay. I always want oatmeal when I'm watching you. I'm like, I need some oats.
Oh, that's good. You're funny.
No, it's seriously like you're on channel 1. You're on breakfast television. I get in my car. You're on the radio, and I'm like, oh, I should listen to the last podcast we did. Oh, he's on that too.
He's on that, yeah.
So I go to the gym. And I'm like, okay, I'll escape Adam at the gym. And I can't because Faisal's on that TV.
And if not, it's Jackie Redmond.
Yes, and also Jackie Redmond.
Jackie's everywhere.
There's a rule that one of Jackie Redmond, Faizal Khamisa, or Adam Wilde is on your television at all times in Canada.
It's part of the CRTC.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Now, Faizal, you've got a really interesting kind of story. You've been at Sportsnet for 4 years, but there's a whole bunch more to you.
There's a lot more to me.
And I mean, I hope you don't mind me just bringing this straight up because we're talking about you.
Let's talk.
You're a cancer survivor.
I am. Yeah. I
So
was
what
16 years old, and
Wow.
you know, think about 16. 16 is a pretty dope age. You know, you can get your driver's license, which is
Sweet
amazing.
16.
Sweet, it's actually given a name. That's how great of an age it is. It's a sweet 16.
They arbitrarily make a big deal out of it.
16, yeah. That's
we're just
something
like,
we
yeah.
add a title to. You
I had
know?
braces and I was fat, so I don't know if it was such a great year for me.
16 for most people is a pretty good age, all right? Driver's license, you know, you're kind of winding down your high school life, grade 11, grade 12 transition. I had my first job at 16. I worked at the YMCA in Mississauga. Got to play sports with kids, which is amazing.
That sounds terrible.
It does not actually at all. I don't want to even joke about that. That was awesome. But yeah, you know, I was about a month before my 17th birthday. Kind of got sick. I live in the basement of my house. I have two sisters, which kind of explains why I lived in the basement of my house.
That's a good move. That's a
Yeah.
solid move.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you got a bunker for sure.
It's just hid. The vents, though. Listen, walking up the stairs, about to go out with my family, and kind of just collapsed on the stairs, you know. And I woke up. I was at the hospital in Mississauga. Before anything, they transferred me to sick kids, and that's when I kind of knew, you know, something was kind of wrong here, you know. And I remember getting a whole bunch of tests that night, and more tests than I've ever imagined myself ever getting. And the doctor kind of came into this room. You can tell it's a room for kids because Sick Kids is a hospital for kids, predominantly younger ones. And it's a room full of children's toys and children's magazines. The walls were all painted with like animals and clowns and stuff. And the doctor came in and just straight up said, Faizal, it's cancer. And
Whoa.
Yeah.
So what is that like?
Yeah.
Because everybody talks about that moment, right? Everybody that I've ever spoken to who's ever had it talks about the moment the doctor walks in and says it's cancer. So you're 16.
16.
And you hear those words. What is that to you?
You almost feel like you're dreaming for a second because there's no way you imagine that illness kind of being put upon you. And as a 16-year-old, I had no real knowledge of what cancer was or what cancer is. And you kind of only hear about it in relation to older people and some of your sports legends kind of going through stuff like that in their elder parts of their life. And
it's such an invincible age.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I was doing all these really cool things at that age, you know, and all of a sudden you get slapped in your face and your body and your legs and your every part of you, and you take 150 steps back, it seems. And I remember hearing it, kind of squinting and scratching my head almost and saying, what?
Like how?
And my parents, they were in the room with me, and I'll never forget their reaction more than anything, you know, just kind of sitting there, and they were stunned. They were stunned. To have this happen to your child, I can't imagine what's going through their mind. I can't imagine how they're reacting. They started crying, obviously started crying as well. And, but you know, again, that look that my parents had in their face, it stuck with me because as a child, you never want to put your parents through something that leads them to react like that. And
also, even at that age, they're your guardians, right?
Yes.
They're the ones that you look to for strength.
Everything, man. They've done everything and continue to after that, obviously, as well. And to see them so vulnerable and almost helpless to a degree, because again, this illness, it's such a wild card. You don't know what's going to happen because of it. Obviously, at that current moment, we had no idea. Every time you hear it, you associate it with death. And to hear that word, literally a week after I starred in some high school musical, after playing soccer in a tournament, like again, you said it, invincible. You felt invincible at 16. You feel like you can literally do anything you know that you want. But
you get hurt, you get kicked in the leg in a soccer tournament, you're fine the next day.
We're all good, you know?
Oh, yeah.
This was not all good, though. I literally didn't leave the hospital for 3 weeks after that. I had to get treatment, started right away. They found a tumor on top of my heart, which
oh my God,
possessed a bit of a risk because generally with cancerous tumors in your body, you can operate on it and then you can have a slight round of treatment to hope that it's all gone. Well, they couldn't operate on this. The heart's a pretty major organ. Not a
you gotta be
science guy
careful.
myself, but yeah.
I've heard things.
Yeah, I've heard things about the heart. It was a tumor that grew about 2 times the size of my heart. And I went to the doctor actually 2 weeks earlier because I felt a little shortness of breath. And the cardiologist kind of took x-rays and he's like, oh, it looks like one side of your heart is enlarged. We'll give you medicine. It'll be all good. Well, it wasn't enlarged.
Jesus.
It was a tumor that kind of grew on top of it. And the x-ray machine wasn't deep enough to kind of notice that. So when I got the MRI at Sick Kids, that's when they kind of found everything. And again, as a guy who, grew up playing every sport, loved drama, loved to be on the stage, loved to just kind of put myself out there. This changed everything. This literally changed everything.
Okay,
of course.
so what went on from there? Like,
Yeah.
you can't operate on it, so you had to go to treatment.
Chemo immediately, day one, chemotherapy. And I don't imagine a lot of people listening, and maybe they do, and if you do, I'm sorry, but have had to go through it or have had people go through chemo. But it's not just one type of medicine. It's a bunch of different kind of medicines associated under the umbrella of chemotherapy.
It's a kind of a cocktail.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. Yeah. And
So is it pills, injections?
so I was just gonna say, yeah. So there were some pills. There were injections that they had to inject through my leg to treat different parts of your body. There were injections that they had to inject through a long ass needle. Can we swear? We can do a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's a radio.
Are we
part,
on the
but-
radio?
Sure. Yeah, but
Sorry.
but I think we can get away with that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Some a long needle that they injected through my back, and what you'd have to do is you kind of have to crouch, and they put it through 2 different vertebrae. And
So it's almost like a spinal tap.
it's a spinal tap. That's kind of what it is with an injection of chemo, kind of locked in.
Is that like a new kind of pain?
Man, that was still. Look, I've had a bunch of medical things happen to me since then. I'm sure we'll touch on that, but I'll never forget the first needle in my back that missed and hit bone. I know. And I apologize. There's a reaction here. I know.
Wow.
And things are kind of crazy, but that's what they had to do, man. I don't know the science behind all of it, and I don't think I ever will, and I don't know if I ever want to kind of go figure that out anymore. But you have to, get your back as tight as possible and open up this tiny, tiny gap between 2 vertebrae and hope that you kind of hit it. And we did that like once a week for I don't even know how long. And so injections there, injections through the chest. They actually, because of how frequent I had to get treatment, they surgically put a port in my chest that had a little tube connect to my neck that injected the chemo straight into my body. So they would just freeze a part of my chest. I have the scar there. It'll never go. And they injected things through there at some point. And yeah, man, it was a trying time.
So this is a pretty like. How intense was this? How aggressive was this tumor?
It was so aggressive. It was pretty aggressive. Again, it was 2.5 times the size of my heart. They caught it relatively late. I'll be honest, the odds they gave me were 50-50. We don't know if this is going to work or not. It's literally flip a coin and you could be dead or you could, you could live. And, knock on wood, I'm grateful every single day that, it worked.
When did you find out that it was shrinking / you went into remission?
So I think, treatment kind of worked right away. They told me every couple months that the tumor was getting smaller and smaller and that the body was reacting positively. But again, you can say that until it doesn't happen, You can say that it's reacting positively until it just stops reacting positively. And so as optimistic as the doctors were, it was hard to really grasp. It was really hard to wrap my head around the fact that everything was going to be okay until I heard that it was going to be okay. And about a year into treatment, they said, yeah, the tumor's gone. We have a year left of treatment. We have to do it, obviously, just to, continue to clean the body. But that first year was crazy, man. Just treatment every single day. And me trying to be the tough guy that I was, decided I was going to continue to go to school. It was grade 12. I needed to get into university. I had life plans to go
such
through,
a key year, like development socially, academically.
More than anything, like I was a very social guy, had a lot of friends, and I felt like I'd be left back if I took that year off. And the doctors advised to do that, but I just didn't see myself as a guy who wanted to do that.
Did you lose your hair and everything?
I was just gonna say I lost my hair. Went to prom with no hair that year, and I pride myself on my hair. I did at 16.
You got a fantastic head of hair,
Thank you very much. That was scary. The first day I woke up and saw hair on my pillow, I was like, man, this is nuts. So my mom's like, let's just go get it shaved off. So we went to go get it shaved off, and the hair was so thin that a razor, without even being on, could essentially remove all of it from my head. And sometimes I look back on those pictures and it's hard to even realize who I was. That thing, it just kicks your body's butt. The chemo,
It's fighting fire with fire, right?
Yeah. it takes every cell out of your body and it drains you emotionally, physically, mentally. And again, as a 16-year-old that wants to be social, coming to school, skinny as hell, no hair on your head, leaving class to go throw up at times, it wasn't great for the rep. But at the same time, I wasn't doing it for the rep. I had life plans again,
survival,
and had to do it. But a year in, when the cancer was good, doctors found problems with my hip, and one of the medicines they give you when you're diagnosed with cancer is a steroid medicine, prednisone. Most cancer patients have to go through it, but they gave me too much. They overprescribed me on this because, again, I was an older kid at a hospital that predominantly deals with younger children.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. But you're basically an adult at that point,
I was an
right?
adult. I was 16 turning 17. I'm very fortunate to have gone to Sick Kids because Sick Kids is the best hospital in the world for dealing with any of these things, to be honest with you.
they're incredible.
And I just hit the threshold that allowed me to go there. But again, it meant they had to kind of improvise the treatment. Not improvise, I'm not saying doctors were guessing with my body, but they had to intensify. I think that's a better word. Intensify the treatment. But the prednisone, the steroids, actually led to blood to stop flowing to both my hips. And a year into treatment, I had to get both my hips operated on. This was before going to university, the summer before university, where I thought everything would be all right. Can enjoy my summer again.
This is it.
This is it.
This is the one.
We've overcome that first hill. We're on our way down from this cancer thing. Getting ready to go to Western. I got accepted into Western.
For broadcast, I'm assuming broadcast
No,
journalism?
for business. I was very interested in getting into investment banking, and I got into the pre-Ivy program at the University of Western, which is one of the prestigious business programs.
What have I been doing with my life?
Well, look, I'm here right now, right? This is what I'm doing right now. So something didn't work out along the way. In that sense,
Or something really freaking did work out for you.
Sure. And actually, it's actually a funny story.
That's actually why we had you on this show, is because you're just so unsuccessful.
This is the name of this episode should be Faisal Makes Us Feel Bad About Ourselves.
we're not
The podcast has on a guy.
Faisal's better than us. So your hip. So what kind of operation is that? It's not a hip replacement, is it?
So no, we did that though 18 months ago. We'll get there in a sec. This was
Was that recent? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, let's
I'll let you tell your
let's
story.
not jump ahead.
Yes.
All right. We'll kind of speed up a little bit here. So July. So I was diagnosed June 1st. 11 years ago, 2005. July of 2006, a year into treatment, everything again looking good. Got accepted to Western 8 weeks before I dipped to London, Ontario. The reputation of Western, not lost upon me, obviously.
It's a party school.
It's a pretty people
say
and
it out
parties
loud.
to go to.
I don't drink, but I can have fun. And I was looking forward to finally having some fun and starting this next chapter of my life. But, as treatment got better in that first year, I started playing sports again. I played everything growing up. I played AA hockey. I played provincial soccer, baseball. I swam. I figure skated.
Ran for prime minister.
Yeah. You figure skated.
I figure skated
which
for
is
the
smart.
hockey start, for the
Absolutely.
hockey thing.
Hey, Jeff Skinner figure skated.
Yeah.
He's okay, I think.
I was super athletic, and I had lost a lot of that because of the treatment that
Sure.
I got for chemo, obviously. And a year in, I started playing again. Everything was good. And then I started feeling this pain in my legs, and I figured, all right, maybe don't rush into the sports right away. Let's slow down and let's wait till this treatment maybe is done and then ease ourselves back in. But it had nothing to do with sports. It was so with steroids, a rare side effect is that it can cause the tissue to grow over long joints in your body. So your hips, your shoulders, etc. And that's what doctors found in both my hips. It's very rare. I think 1 in like 300,000 people get it in both their hips at the same time. But hey, lucky me. This is what happened. And they drilled a hole in both my hips, scraped off a layer of the tissue, and hoped and prayed. It's literally a 30% successful surgery that you hope and pray that your bone formation can kind of get back to normal. So that's 8 weeks of bed rest as soon as that surgery is done. In summertime, before I leave for Western. I got off bed rest 3 days before I left to go to University of Western. Again, parents, doctors, man, take the first year off. 1 more year of treatment. You're literally learning to walk again.
Were you walking with a cane or a walker?
Double crutches, both sides. Couldn't, one wasn't enough because I'd both operated on, so I couldn't put a lot of pressure on either side. But as true to form, I decided I was going to leave on crutches and continue with my life because, again, that's all I kind of knew, man. My parents, they lived a life of struggle. My dad grew up in Uganda in the 70s. Him, along with all the other people of Asian descent, were literally kicked out of their country. Much like the Syrian refugees right now, this was the case in the 70s with a lot of East
Was it
Asian.
a Christian versus Muslim thing, or was it
It was an Idi Amin doesn't want brown people in his country. So all the Southeast Asians had to get out. They were given 30 days essentially to just leave the country. So my dad, his family, refugees. my dad's first dwelling in Canada was in Prince George, Vancouver, before making his way here. And he sponsored the rest of his family to come here and set up this life for us, obviously, and came with nothing and did this thing where you built up from the ground and raised 3 kids that have all gone on to live pretty cool lives. So all I knew was about persevering and just for my parents and my community and everybody around them. And I didn't know any other way. So when the option came to take a year off, it was one that I quickly diminished. I said, I'm not going to do it. And so we went to Western, and 5 years later we graduated and missed a couple degree changes, a couple more surgeries, and
Hip replacement.
18 months ago.
Why?
Yeah, so the surgery, as we previously mentioned, 30% successful, wasn't great on the right side at all. And they had actually suggested getting my hip replaced earlier and earlier and earlier. Just get it done. And I was like, dude, I'm like 20-something. I'm not really about to get my hip replaced right now, you know?
You want to keep that
no,
as long
thank
as
you.
possible,
You know,
yeah.
no, thank you. And again, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And a hip replacement meant a lot of time to not do anything, like more so than before. And so it was until I got hired and got a job at the Score and eventually Sportsnet when they bought out the company that I decided that I'm secure enough to now go through something like this. And one day in November, 2 years ago now, 2014, we just did it. We said, all right, we're going to do it. I didn't really think about it until the day of, and I was like, oh, this is happening now, eh? This is kind of happening. A big part of my body is going to be gone, and a metal joint is going to be put in.
You guys noticing a theme here? He just rushes it. He just does it, right?
Into a lot of decisions.
Just jump into an
Not a lot of
early
point in
20s hip.
thinking about stuff, you know?
You agreed to a hip surgery like it was the iTunes agreement.
Yeah.
It's true. You just clicked it. You didn't even read
Yeah.
it.
You know what it was?
I'll do it.
It's kind of like that because I went to see my orthopedic surgeon. He's like, all right, I think we should get your hip replaced. I said, all right, I'm ready for this. And he said, my secretary will call you in a couple weeks. We'll book a date. She called me one day in the middle of work. She's like, hey, we have a date in November 26th. You cool? I'm like, is this it? Is this the conversation? And she's like, yeah, you okay to get your joint replaced at this day? I'm like, yeah, cool, thanks. Hung up, Mom, November 26th. She's like, for what? I'm like, hip replacement. She's like, what? No consulting or anything? I'm like, no, this is going down. I guess this is how things are done here.
Yeah, Mom, the question was, is that cool?
It's not, is that cool? It's like, will you take the day off work to drive me? Because I can't drive
my
myself,
God.
you know? Well, I could, but... So,
Would you like to buy views? Click. And you just agreed to it, and you didn't read nothing. You didn't care. So you're just like, well, I heard it's good. I heard it's a good album.
So
Holy
you
smokes, Basil.
So you get that done. How many weeks of bed rest is that?
it was 3.5 months. And that was 3.5 months.
In the winter.
In the winter.
You couldn't have gone to school.
Well, there was work. I was working at the time. I did not
this
go to
is
school.
Score Sportsnet days now.
This is Sportsnet.
Oh,
days.
I'm
this is Sportsnet
right,
days. Yeah,
right,
we've
right,
evolved,
right.
We've advanced about 6 years.
Yes.
This is Sportsnet days. It took 3 months off. It was risky too because again, I'm a young broadcaster trying to find myself in this industry. But
I get
pain,
that.
The pain in my leg was so unbearable that it just wasn't worth delaying this anymore. There was nothing left. There was no tissue left between my femur and my hip. It was on the verge of collapsing. That was the risk that it possessed, and I had to get it done. And everybody at Sportsnet was unbelievably supportive, unbelievably helpful, and unbelievably accommodating. That I felt comfortable leaving and knowing that I'd be okay coming back. And again, it was a risk because 3 months off television when you're just trying to find yourself in this industry, you could easily be replaced. You could easily be forgotten about. But
It can be an out of sight, out of mind sort of industry.
But I made myself. I made sure I was keeping myself busy and on top of my stuff. So when I came back, they had no choice but obviously to keep me going, which is what they did.
This has been one of the most incredible, crazy stories I've ever heard in 20 minutes. Like, I mean, truly, that's unbelievable. So how is the leg? Are you good now?
Yeah,
did
you
it
know
work?
what? The hip is as good as I felt in maybe 10 years since that first surgery to replace that first issue 10 years ago. So, I play soccer every week now. I don't play well anymore. I can't run a lot, but I can move and I'm still smart enough to kind of figure out things that are going on. I go to the gym. A few times a week, do a lot to kind of strengthen the hip. I kind of only focus on strengthening the leg a little bit and let myself go a little bit here, but it's all good because I know, this is important and I got to make sure the muscle around it kind of grows, and the left one's going to need to get done at some point as well, but so I figured let's get as strong as possible until that happens and kind of go from there. You know what? I had a lot of people supporting me as well. There's people that helped train me prior to the surgery so that I could get up off that bed 12 hours after surgery and try to start walking again, which was pretty incredible. And wow. Again, man, I think a lot of people acknowledge me and say, yo, man, you've gone through a lot. But my family, my friends, my colleagues, I can't sit here and take credit for everything because they were very, very instrumental in helping me get to where I am now. Literally walking again.
Well,
I feel like I've done nothing with my life.
yeah.
No. See, that's not the point. And I speak a lot about my story because I think it helps add perspective to a lot of people. And I think not everyone, again, knock on wood, has to go through what I went through at 16 years old. But I think 16-year-olds often see life and think one thing happens. That's the worst thing that's ever happened. Well, it's not, man. Like, I'll tell you like some bad stuff that happened at 16.
Yeah.
But I like to share my story, not because of what I did, but because it adds a pretty good message to a lot of people. And it helps give them a sense of perspective. It helps talk to them about the importance of keeping a positive attitude and continuing to believe in yourself and continuing to have goals for yourself. Because at 16, 17, 18, 20, when I went through all this other stuff, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to do something with my life. And that's why you kept pushing. And that's why you go to school after having both your hips operated on 8 weeks earlier. And that's why you go through chemo in the middle of classes and take your reports home so you can take them home.
That's
so
called ambition.
Everything. It's called ambition. And again, I admire my parents for coming here and starting from nothing. I had an opportunity to take advantage of the school systems we have in Canada, and I didn't want to let myself or anybody else down in that process.
Now, I got to stop you because we got to go to break here.
Sure.
But when we come back, there's a lot of a lot of you and a lot of sports we got to cover. I am absolutely flabbergasted. I had a kind of a rundown a little bit from Steve but I had no idea about any of this. So Faizal Khamisa of Sportsnet on with us right now. We'll be right back on the Steve Dangle podcast next. So
we're back on the Faizal Khamisa podcast.
Really? I mean,
The takeover.
Probably the most inspired guest we've ever had. And I honestly, Faizal, have only ever heard great things. We actually have people who help style us here at Rogers.
They're the best.
They are the best. Deb and Jess.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
I noticed that as well.
Because they put me in the Quaker shoes, Steve.
Style.
And they were right. But Jess actually said that.
Not me.
She's like, you will not meet a guy with a better soul than Faizal Khamisa. And so I was looking forward to meeting you tonight. And it's amazing to hear the story you just heard. By the way, if you missed it, sportsnet.ca has the entire Steve Dangle podcast, every single episode. But Faizal, you've overcome some incredible things. You're an up-and-coming anchor. And by the way, how old are you?
I'm 28.
28 years old, so you are our age, and you've gone through all that. Damn.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some sports with you?
Yeah, let's talk about sports.
Let's talk about some sports. Damn sport, because there's some things that we got to talk about, especially today. So you had to deal with the fact that Melvin Upton Jr. is now a Blue Jay, and obviously when that happens, you're talking about throwing the whole Sportsnet. It's like a bomb goes off and everything, all the papers go up, and it's like, okay, we got to throw everything and let's get to the press conference.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? And you follow this closely. On this deal, do you think the Blue Jays made a good deal? This
could not be a better deal for the team for a couple of different reasons. One, he's a pretty good baseball player still.
Right.
He's had a couple down years, maybe 2-3 years ago with Atlanta. Not exactly the Melvin, formerly known as BJ Upton, that played so well for the Tampa Bay Rays. Picked it up a little bit in San Diego last year, more so this year. He's very versatile, okay? He already leads the team in stolen bases just by coming here. He already leads the outfield in assists just by coming here. So he adds more so than just another bat in an already potent lineup. He's very good defensively. He's very fast on the base paths. And they're not paying him much. He has $22 million left between this year and next year. That in itself is a lot of money. San Diego's paying 17 of that $22 million.
How on earth did they... How did that happen? How do they get to that number?
Yeah, so San Diego, the Padres, signed some pretty bad contracts back in...
James Shields,
Matt Kemp. Or acquired some bad contracts. Same with Upton. They acquired him. They're not very good. They're supposed to... Well, I guess they thought they'd be good over the last couple of years. Didn't happen. They traded Shields. They had to eat some money there as well. But if you want to rid yourself of an asset and bring in your younger players... this is what you have to do. You kind of have to take some money. They got a prospect who they're pretty high on. I don't think a lot of Jays fans, including myself, heard of him until today. Hansel Rodriguez seems like a fairy tale. Literally, some reporter asked Atkins a Hansel and Gretel question today, which he was taken back by. But
that's an odd time to be asking.
Really, save your pun for your report, because it's not the time. But
that reporter's name was
Sportsnet
F. Khamisa.
Yeah, that was and with Toronto losing maybe one or two outfielders next season, Saunders and Bautista, both free agents. Upton has another year on his contract. It's like a stress-free, pretty good replacement to either of those guys.
And might I say, maybe plays better right field positionally.
Definitely plays better right field than Jose Bautista. And I think, and this is just me postulating, I think we're going to get to a point where Bautista is going to become predominantly the DH on this team. Saunders, Pilar, Upton will dominate the outfield, and Smoke will probably lose some playing time as a result of that.
Okay.
But that's a pretty good problem to have because, again, the bats, the lineups, super, super strong, and Upton's going to add to that.
Amazing.
Now, a lot of Blue Jays fans really only started paying close attention last year. Me.
A year ago, basically this week when David Price came to town and Troy Tulowitzki came to town.
Well, it started with Troy Tulowitzki, and it's almost a year to the day. And Atkins teased, we're not done.
Yeah.
We're not done.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the trade felt like. This is just the start. So what's next?
So he said this today, and Atkins, who's there, Atkins said...
he's on the screen right now.
He's
in the
literally
studio.
on the screen
For
right
anybody
now.
listening on the radio who can't see what there means.
Sorry.
Steve does it all the time.
They can see where we're pointing.
Atkins said today... how they're not going to look to add major assets to this team. They're a pretty balanced team, and he challenged reporters to find a pitching staff that's been as good as they've been, the Jays starting staff. And Aaron Sanchez, he credited a big part of that. Happ, Estrada, Dickey, and Stroman. Stroman struggled here and there this season, but for the most part, nothing too disastrous. And the bullpen, we know, everybody knows. It needs a bit of help. You can find relievers at the trade deadline.
Or is that not Aaron Sanchez when they inevitably move him?
Yeah, so it could be Aaron Sanchez, likely will be Aaron Sanchez, just based on all the writing on the wall right now. But again, a depth starter, a depth reliever, you're not giving up top guys for that anymore. You're not looking to get an Aroldis Chapman like the Cubs got on Monday, who gave up four prospects to get him. I mean, Upton, a lot of people were questioning how the Jays got him so relatively cheap. They gave up a Class A prospect who they signed from the Dominican last year or the year before. You're not losing much in that, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of similar deals like that get done. Think Mark Lowe, think LaTroy Hawkins, guys that come in, maybe not too heralded, but they just get the job done. They just come in, one or two outs here or there, maybe an inning if needed, and then turn the ball over to Grilly, who's been amazing.
Yes.
Cecil, who's picked it up, and of course, Roberto Osuna. And if Aaron Sanchez is back there, you have a pretty lethal bullpen in itself. So
right. Now, that brings us to... And by the way, I know this is a hockey podcast, but it's the middle of the summer, and we got actual interesting stories, and the Chicago White Sox are better than any Vancouver Canucks story, better than any Montreal Canadiens story. They are the best story besides the New York Knicks, who would have won the 2011 championship. I think the New York Knicks is hilarious in itself, but what is going on with the Chicago White Sox is the best. And if you haven't been paying attention, Chris Sale, he is their ace, okay? Now, this is one of the guys that stuck up for Adam LaRoche when Adam LaRoche walked away from the team with his kid in spring training because Kenny Williams, who's their president, didn't like the fact that his kid was in the dressing room every single day. And which, by the way, he never should have been.
Sure.
That's insanity.
I actually agree with that, yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah.
So Chris Sale was sticking up for him at that point, and I think that there's a little bit of friction there. So then we have throwback night with these ugly ass Chicago White Sox jerseys. Now,
I thought they looked very classy.
First off, you don't tuck them in, so they're like big sweaters. The second thing is they've got these huge collars on them.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the starting pitcher in baseball, as a rule, gets to pick the jersey that the team wears.
Teams, yeah. For some teams, I guess in Chicago that was the case at Chris Sale, especially because he's pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
One of them. If he wants a certain jersey, he'll get a certain jersey because he's pitching.
Now, that night, though, they're like, well, we're giving away 40,000 of these or something like that. So they're like, we can't do that. So you're gonna have to play with that jersey on. And again, I cannot stress enough. These are
it's bad.
Yeah, like triple XL shirt for a normal person. and they hang down. They don't tuck in, and they've got these big collars. I don't know why anybody would want them.
The first thing I thought when I saw them was game blouses.
Yes. So
That was the first thing I thought.
So Chris Sale goes to the lockers after being told that they're going to go with these jerseys, whether he likes it or not, and cuts the collars off, not just his jersey, but every single jersey.
Every single jersey.
Like, that's active and time consuming. Like,
How sharp does your knife have to be? Like, and who's got a knife like that in the training?
wait, he did it with a knife?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm scared.
Right?
I thought he was doing it with scissors.
No, man.
Apparently
This
it's a
is for
knife.
sale. Apparently it was a knife. Listen, how? How does nobody stop him? Who's sitting there
takes a while.
watching all the jerseys get cut and says, all right, he'll probably stop after the next. You know what? Probably one more.
Yeah, 15
okay, maybe
in.
that back row, and then we'll leave the other ones. You got backups. No. How? Who doesn't stop him? I don't get it. The first thing I tweeted was Drake LaRoche wouldn't have let this happen. That's
Right.
I'm just kidding, of course, right?
Very true.
You think Sale cuts up all the jerseys? There's a kid in there kind of watching him, idolizing him, and those teary eyes, almost watching his idol collapse in front of his eyes. But I just don't get it. I don't know why you need to cut them all off. But there are crazy people out there. They're like, man, I hope somebody puts those cut jerseys up on eBay so I can bid on that because, that's now a collector's item.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely is.
I'm one of those crazy people. I would love to have a piece of that jersey. I think that'd be kind of cool.
That's memorabilia worth having, especially if you could get him to sign it. That'd be cool. But here's my question. This is for everybody in the room, okay? So, PK Subban.
Yes.
Character issues, right? Quote
Totally.
unquote, character issues. Steve, you actually read me a tweet while we were walking out to get pizza.
Oh.
And this is great.
It was basically an NHL source told me that PK Subban was late to practice 18 times. And in the tweet he goes, source told me last week. The first thing that struck me was last week. Why did you sit on that for a week for some reason?
Hang on to that one for a week.
Yeah.
Put it out when time is right, Tuesday afternoon. That's the one.
That's what you do with a good scoop. You wait. And the other thing about that's funny, by the way, it's a reporter from Ottawa. Do we know the name?
Grant McCagg.
Okay. So
he follows me on Twitter, so he's probably a good guy.
Yeah, he probably is, but Grant. But here's the other thing. When you say practice, it could mean like pregame skates, which, by the way, the Montreal Canadiens do every time, and all the players rumored to hate it. In fact, we have actual sources that tell us they hate it.
They hate it, yeah.
And nobody wants that. So PK shows up to practice, if that is even true, late a few times. Chris Sale cuts the freaking jerseys up.
No one's talking about character, right?
No one talks about character. And this is what we always go back to with PK. For the life of me, and I hate to bring it to this, but it cannot just be a character thing with him. There is something else there that's not above board, shall we say.
One thing I've done over the last couple of years is I've optimistically gone, no one can be that dumb. And over the last couple of years, I've allowed myself to go, yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they absolutely can. Maybe they're just that dumb.
Because people are sticking up for him going, well, at least he's passionate. Chris Sale, that is.
Come on!
That's
crazy.
What other career do that?
Can
It's
you
psychotic
destroy-
to do that.
Yeah.
If I went into the wardrobe room and just started cutting up all my suits, they're not gonna be like, all right.
You might get a 5-gamer.
Yeah,
5-dayer.
You get the week off. No, you're done. We paid money for those suits.
Jeff Merrick comes in. What have you done?
What have you done to my suit?
It's not even wardrobe. I bought this. What are you doing?
It's a more special, damn it.
I'll get fired. I'm saying.
Yeah, well,
fired.
duh. And then that's the thing. I mean, you can't fire an athlete who's under a guaranteed contract.
Of course.
Now, he is probably going to get traded in the offseason, although I would love to see him in a Jays uniform.
Oh, everybody would.
If we could just keep him in a bubble and have him not talk to anybody in the dressing room, because I'm afraid of what he would do. But, I know that they're completely different sports, and I know they're completely unrelated incidents, but I feel like there's a comparison to be drawn there. And I really don't, just because of the way these things are handled, I just don't see how, whatever it, the narrative is interesting.
Well, has he played since?
Chris Sale?
Yeah.
No,
he's
he'll
been
play on
suspended.
Thursday. He's pitching Thursday against the Cubs.
5 games. They gave him 5 games, which
is one start. Effectively, it's one start, right?
Yeah.
That's a joke for pitchers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they need him
you
to
get
pitch.
5 games, you miss one start. That's it. That's it.
It's like suspending the backup goalie. Except starting pitcher is obviously an integral part of your team, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Guy's not getting in, that often.
We're suspending Al Montoya. Oh, nuts. Now what are we going to do?
We'll have to bring up Kay Whitmore.
Yeah, it only matters once every 5 games, right?
Yeah, anyway, it was, to me, I mean, maybe it's a bit of a stretch to make that.
I know
but
what you're trying to say. And I think it is. I don't think it's much of a stretch. I just think you're not going to find a lot of people talking about it because it gets into an uncomfortable conversation, I think, right? Because it comes down to more than, the person, their abilities and what they say. It comes down to a lot of, I don't know. I don't want to,
Faisal.
You go ahead, buddy.
Just say it.
You can say what you want, as long as it doesn't damage your career, because we've already damaged. We've only damaged our own.
That's why I'm kind of take a step back. Not saying it, but it just comes down to more of the words and the actions versus a certain look of a person, and I know that's the case with a lot of things. And I'll stop there.
Fair enough.
I'll stop there.
Fair enough.
Right.
We know
I
what you
think
mean.
I'll stop there.
All right, let's do something that's a little less divisive.
Cool.
We've got the Islanders, who are, by the way, so happy in Brooklyn. Have the Islanders
so
told you
happy.
how happy they are in Brooklyn? Because they're so happy in Brooklyn.
Well, I know John Tavares is happy in Brooklyn.
He wouldn't count on him signing with the Leafs in a year and a half, which is great. But the part I wanted to talk about is they're so happy in Brooklyn they're moving to Queens.
Now, is that official?
No, but that is the.
They're thinking about it. Brooklyn didn't work out too well, did it?
No.
But here's the thing: we knew that Brooklyn wasn't going to.
Of course, we did.
And it
We
goes
made
back-
fun of it from the start.
Well, the off-center rink, the fact that half the freaking a whole section of seats cannot see the whole
Can't
ice.
see the whole ice there. What?
We were
And
saying,
then-
what if they make the final, right? They're a strong team. What if
Yeah,
they make
they're
the
a good
Stanley
team,
Cup
sure,
final?
sure.
Goes to Game 7. Goes to
Oh,
overtime. And you miss the goal.
Well, the best part was them saying, "Well, they can watch on their phones." Remember, they actually said that. You can watch on your phone.
Yeah, let me not react live and wait for the 40-second delay on my phone. Then I'll cheer with everybody else. Yeah. That's going to work out.
Can everyone sit down until I see this?
Yeah, guys, please, spoiler alert, guys. Spoiler alert, come on.
It's like Game of Thrones. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and I again, Steve, it goes back to what you just said, which is, can people really be this dumb?
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes. Well, now we're in Queens, though. And
All right,
our
well,
people in Queens
Right
gonna care.
next to Citi Field.
Yeah, I think the Mets are helping them out. They're going to
See, that's
do a little
cool.
partnership with them. And
That's
boom,
brilliant.
boom, boom.
New arena or existing?
A new one, it would be. They would build one.
A
So-
hockey-specific one?
Sounds like it.
Oh, well, they're playing in a basketball-specific stadium right now.
Which, by
That's
the
what
way,
I'm saying.
if you are building a specific sport, anything, covered arena, that's a poor business decision.
Yes.
That's what Richard Petty said when he came in here.
Because they don't make money as it is, these stadiums.
No.
Right?
Wasn't the ACC initially supposed to be Raptors only?
Yes, it was.
And he
Yes,
said,
it was.
"Nah."
And they said, no, make it hockey. And kind of worked out for them, right?
A little bit. Wow.
I mean, he even said when he headed up Skydome, right? When it was Skydome, he said even in the first 4 years, they barely even broke even. And they had every concert in town. The Jays were at the very, very best. Like from 88 to 92, 93, they were one of the top teams in
winning, yeah.
baseball. They were setting attendance records, and he said they barely broke even then.
Wow.
Then. So you can imagine, right, what's happened since. And now it's an older stadium, and now it needs to be upgraded, and all of those things. So I find it very funny that Barclays, or whoever the company is, Barclays just sponsors it, but I find it very funny that whoever put the money into this made it a basketball specific. And now they have to go out and build this stadium. I think it's brilliant, though, in one way. Because the Mets are New York's second team, right? And the Islanders are New
the
York's.
Islanders, right? Yeah.
New York. They
Yeah.
even kind of share the same color palette.
Yeah.
It kind of it makes you wonder why I didn't have it before.
Yeah.
The New York others. Like,
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it's like Hall & Oates. They're the Oats. You know, like
The silver medals.
yeah. I mean, for everybody in that area, I mean, it would give them a rabid fan base, which is used to seeing disappointment, and the Islanders are good at that. So, I mean, the Mets are good at that.
Mets are pretty good at that as well. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
anyway, I thought that was hilarious. And the last thing I think we want to talk about before we cut and go to the actual the podcast part of this, where we can open it wide up and we can swear and do whatever we want.
what?
So we got Holland at 1.3 for the Leafs. We've got Corrado at 600,000 for the Leafs.
Yes.
Steve, Faisal, what do you guys think?
First of all, nobody really wants to go into a meeting with Lou Lamoriello, do they? Because all these cases getting pretty settled pretty quickly. And I feel like going into a meeting with Lou Lamoriello means you're leaving in tears at some point, because I don't think he cares. Does he care?
He definitely doesn't care.
Trying to rip you apart.
I think it's funny. He cares less now than he ever has.
Did? Sure.
Because with the Devils, like, at least he had like
There was legacy.
Yeah, there was legacy. There was a long established relationship with some of these guys. Maybe he gets to know their family. You think Lou Lamoriello knows the Corrados that well? The Hollands. He just got there. And you don't even have a Hart Trophy nomination or a Norris or a Stanley Cup. And I just got here, and I'm 73 years old, and I kind of want to sit down. I don't want to have to worry about this. Take your stupid contract and shut the hell up. That's what they're dealing with. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And they got Peter Holland and Frank Corrado for less than $2 million combined.
That's pretty good.
They have a lot of players, don't they? They got some moves to make, though, still, don't they?
Well, that's to be seen. So I saw an interesting tweet from General Fandor, because that's exactly what I thought. So they still got Martin Marincin to sign. I don't know what he's going to command. Let's say the number is 2. Let's say he commands $2 million.
Yeah.
And let's say they sign Jonas Enroth. And let's say that is $1.5 million. I'm completely pulling numbers out of nowhere.
Sure.
Enroth made roughly that last year, I think. If Jared Cowan succeeds in not getting bought out, the Leafs are in trouble and they got to make a move, or they got to rely on LTIR or something. If they do get the Cowan buyout to go through, they might not even need LTIR to hit the cap.
Wow.
So supposedly they're in a better position than I thought, for sure.
Even with Lupul?
Even with Lupul.
Interesting.
That's what General Fandor said, so... Someone said we should just have him as the fourth guy. We're always citing him.
Yeah, well, yeah, we should. What's interesting with Lupul too is that if he does come back and he does play, because we did think he was going to, live out his years on Robidas Island, take his money and golf in LA. I don't think he wants to do that. It could be another pump and dump situation. Don't be surprised if Joffrey Lupul's on the first and second line most nights.
Nah, yes, I will absolutely be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I will be. They got too much young talent, and if that talent is on your roster, you have to develop it.
You kind of have to develop it and put them up there and let them fail in those situations, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This season, I think, is going to be spectacular for the LFR videos, for sure.
Oh, yes.
Because on every night, they're going to give me a reason to scream. Whether I'm going, yes, Matthews, it was a sick goal, or why would you make that pass? Oh, because you're 18.
Oh, right.
Oh, because you're 19. They're going to be a frustrating and exciting team, but you have to give them that room to explore the player they are, to develop.
At the end of the day, they're 18, 19,
I'm so
20.
excited.
There's a genuine excitement, which I think is fair, because, again, there are some pretty talented kids here, but can this work? Can this development work? Can they get a guy in to kind of complement these? I don't know. There's a lot of... People thought, hey, Stamkos is here, this accelerates everything, but they're still the worst team in the league that just kind of added the first overall pick, who's going to be good, but...
They added a little bit. They got some young talent in the lineup. The goalie situation just got a little bit better.
Well, I gotta wrap for now. Just on the radio side, guys. So this podcast is brought to you by Panago Pizza. It's what's on the inside that counts. What we do have to get to, though, is Steve talked to Max Pacioretty today.
Oh, yes.
And I interviewed Max Domi today. So the Maxes. We hit the Maxes today in the NHL. So I actually have Max Domi's thoughts on Frederik Andersen, Mitch Marner, and Austin Matthews. And Steve has Max Pacioretty's thoughts on the big trade out of Montreal.
Oh, yes.
Or...
And if you liked Faisal's story from Block 1 of the show, we actually know of a way I think you can help sick kids.
Yeah, so I did a little toy drive for sick kids. The first round of toys was just sent to sick kids last week. It was unbelievable. I put it out there on June 1st, which is the anniversary of me being diagnosed and me stopping my treatment as well. I got 102 boxes of toys, which is over 2,000 items in itself. I'm clapping too because the credit goes to the internet world who helped contribute it. And again, I see a lot of hate on the internet a lot of times, but for the last 6 weeks collecting these toys, it was genuine joy for me, just reaching out and connecting with people that wanted to help. And when we took it there, they were overwhelmed at the hospital. I was overwhelmed, and I interviewed my parents that day, did a little piece on that. And if you want to help,
Amazing.
obviously get in touch and we can make sure that happens.
All right, so we're going to go to the podcast section now. Download it at sportsnet.ca or on iTunes or anywhere you would find a podcast. Thanks so much for listening. We are the Steve Dangle Podcast. All right, so Steve, you were where today?
I was at the MasterCard Center for Hockey Excellence. Escalates.
It's cool.
Leafs practice facility for G Camp that is put on by Gatorade, and basically they've brought a bunch of kids from around the country who have cool and inspirational stories, and they brought them to this camp to train and get a cool experience and stuff, and work out and do all these on ice drills. What they didn't know was that first thing in the morning, everyone who was doing the dry land training got surprised by Max Pacioretty.
Cool.
Comes out, Montreal Canadiens captain, and everyone who did the on-ice training got surprised by Johnny Gaudreau, who, by the way, blended in amazingly with the 14-year-olds he was on the ice with. It's hilarious.
Can he even grow a beard yet?
Oh, my God, no.
Oh
my God, no. And then later in the day, the dry land group goes onto the ice, and they're walking single file onto the ice, and then someone comes out of one of the locker rooms and just joins them in the line and just starts skating laps with them. Doesn't even announce he's there. It's John Tavares. And who was the other guy who went up to do dry land training? Oh, it was Brent Burns.
Well, he kind of doesn't blend in.
No, this was a great thing. So Pacioretty just hid by kind of putting a cap on and turning his back to everyone. Brent Burns can't hide. So he just fully embraced it. They're like, oh yeah, we have our Gatorade scientist here. And he just put on a doctor's coat and was like, hello everybody. He's missing all his teeth. He's got his giant pirate beard. I'm Dr. Burns. He's wearing shorts under the lab coat. You can see the crazy tattoos and everything. Oh yeah.
So they knew.
Yeah,
they knew right away.
They knew.
So you got to talk to Max Pacioretty, obviously, and I think this 1 minute clip is very, very interesting.
Well, he's on a hot button team, Adam.
He is, with a questionable management group.
Oh heavens!
Now we
haven't spoken about that on this show.
No, not at all. Now, Steve, the way you asked this question is beautiful. I don't know how you kept a straight face, but let's have a listen.
So we're halfway through the summer, and the trade is still all anybody can talk about. How improved do you think the Leafs are now that they have Freddie Anderson? Because they had to give up Jonathan Bernier to do it.
Yeah, I didn't see that question coming out that way, but I think they will be improved.
Okay.
I think the Leafs have a very, very bright future.
Absolutely.
They have all the right pieces in place to have a very good future. Obviously, with the first overall pick, Freddie Anderson, and great management and great coaches. So, unfortunately for us, we're in the same division, and our division is going to get a little bit better as the years go on. But that's what makes us competitors.
Well, it absolutely is unfortunate, but that's a good way of looking at it. It's a challenge.
Yeah, I think Shea Weber will be great too, and I think PK is going to enjoy Nashville.
Oh, is that?
Oh, that's where you're going with that, right?
Oh, okay, sure.
I found that interesting. That the fact that you didn't even bring it up and he still stuck to the script on that.
Yeah, okay. Now, a few people tweeted that
because he could have left it.
Yeah, a few people tweeted at me. He could have left it, and he had to bring it up, didn't he? Okay, because I was there. Now I get to tell you. So Luke Fox of Sportsnet.ca was there, and he did an interview with Max Pacioretty, and he was far more professional than I. It was about 15 minutes, and a lot of that 15 minutes was, of course, about that trade. So it was already on his mind. He went from talking to Luke to immediately picking up his phone and doing a phoner on the radio. I don't remember what station or what show. So he had gone straight from doing those two things to me going, hey, man, I got a question for you. And then I bring up the trade. The reason I asked him that was he was in the same room as I was, and I was like, hey, what would be funny? the reason we shot that clip is because I heard him talking about it.
So he'd been talking about it.
Yeah, so it was fresh in his mind, so of course he mentioned it. Yeah, it wasn't like he was like, and that PK guy, screw that guy, glad he's out of the locker room.
Well, he still could have left it, though. Do you not think?
Absolutely think he could have left. There was no need to bring it up. He
didn't have to bring it up at all.
He didn't have to bring it up, right?
That was his break. That was his escape point.
He had the break. That's it. He had a chance to just have some fun, get this off his mind, but Chose not to.
Typical hockey player media training. Don't actually just they revert back. It's not that they don't listen; they just revert.
I was so close to being like, so we got to talk about the big Habs move, Bobby Farnham. You know, that's a good depth move. You know, what do you think? I was so close. The one I didn't do, it's just, okay, I knew Max Pacioretty would play along, okay? If you're going to do something goofy like that, you got to have someone who's going to play along.
It almost would have been better if he didn't. If he'd gotten mad, I think it would have been great.
We'll see. The one I had was Tavares. I was going to be like, so, you know, you're the captain of the Islanders, you know, gotta know. Steven Stamkos re-signed in Tampa Bay. Like, what a mistake, right? Like, I was gonna say,
he sure took a haircut, don't you think?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, do you see other players in the league doing that in 2 years? Like, because that seems like not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like he wouldn't have handled that with good humor. And then it was proven to me because someone, it turns out, did interview him. And I guess they asked him about signing with the Leafs in 2 years, and he said, I wouldn't count on it. So,
well, of course he did.
And that is true. Of course he did. Oh, he took a swipe at the Leafs, did he?
No. No.
How dare he?
No, he just said he's not going to sign here. That's
just said what he should be saying at this point.
Yeah, as a captain
by other team, you know? Yeah, no. He's all right.
Yeah. The other thing I want to do is if it's okay, this is kind of self-aggrandizing, but I want to play this clip with Max Domi. Because he was great. He was talking about diabetes on breakfast television this morning.
I didn't have a problem with you playing a clip of me.
It is your show. But the thing was, I had to ask him about the Leafs. So we'll start like this.
And a little secret, and Max is probably going to kill me for this. He said, "You pumped about the Leafs?" So should we be pumped about the Leafs this year?
Yes, you should.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you played against Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
You played with Mitch Marner, another one of their top prospects. What are your thoughts on these guys?
They're going to be good. They're going to be good for sure. I mean, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but
okay. Well, no,
they're in the Eastern Conference, so it's fine. No, I mean, Austin's a great kid, and so is Marner. So I'm looking forward to see how they do next year.
And you also played the new Leafs goaltender a lot last year, as he was in Anaheim. Frederik Andersen.
Yep, he's also a stud.
Yeah, so he is.
Yep.
You think so?
Yep.
Okay. And you don't walk around just calling anyone a stud.
No, I don't. It's very selective.
Now you've come from, obviously, you grew up a Leafs fan. Ty played with the Leafs.
Whatever, Ty Domi stuff. The point is, he was talking about the Leafs, and I was so proud that I got Max Domi to talk about how great the Leafs are going to be as a Torontonian.
I'm just such a dick. I was listening to that clip, and all I could think of, okay, yeah, so you don't walk around calling everyone a stud. Like, for example, who's not? Who's
Can you
bad?
imagine?
Who's bad? Like Bernier, Anderson, like they clearly won that, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're clearly better now, right?
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Are you excited about having to take shots at Bernier? I mean, really.
Yeah. How many times have you seen that YouTube clip of Oliver Ekman-Larsson scoring on him? Like, how many times have you seen that clip?
Well, we were talking before, and this is not anything that could get Max in trouble, but and not that he said anything that could, but one of the things he did say was he's like, we were talking about Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and he said if he was playing in Toronto, that guy would have won 2 Norrises already. He said he is that good.
Well, how many would Drew Doughty have won then? Probably 9, am I right?
Yeah, probably. Be the Chris Pronger of our era. It's a shame in a way. Not that he plays for the Coyotes. It's a shame he gets ignored, and it's a shame the way the voting works because there are less reporters there. Quite frankly.
Sorry to cut you off there, Faizal. People saw that.
Faizal's been talking like 10 minutes here.
It's all good, man. I talked about it at the beginning. We'll average this out right now. We'll get back.
Oh yeah, we can't have you overshadowing the whole show.
Interesting because you do the sports reports.
Yeah.
So how does that work with the Western Conference teams and all the 4 sports?
We don't talk about them a lot. You know?
Yeah, like honestly.
We talk about Canadian teams a lot when we do the updates during the day, only because our audience, our Canadian audience.
Yeah, of course.
That kind of makes sense. You dictate, or you go with what your market dictates, and
Whoa.
maybe not.
That's how could you say that? Like what? I need to know. I'm going to ask a question that a lot of people have asked. Why is Toronto always on the TV? What can we do to get Toronto sports off the TV?
Okay. Well, I don't know because they've been bad for a lot of years and they're still predominant conversation topics in this country. And I don't know why. You know, I just grew up here, so that's why I've noticed them always in my entire life. But I don't know why they're on TV so much. There's some more interesting stories out there, aren't there?
Well, sometimes that's the thing is that the Leafs were such bad screw-ups for a long time. It's almost like it's not like these narratives were not interesting. They were interesting hockey stories a lot of the time.
Is it possible there is a demand for Toronto sports talk.
Yes. Yes, but again, there is a demand, but I don't know what set that demand. I don't know why the whole country seems to care about what happens in Toronto.
The bunch of people. The numbers, Faisal. There's more.
Yeah, but I know.
There's more.
That's what you wanted from me. Okay, cool. There's more people in Toronto. That's why we talk about Toronto a lot, because so many people there got to watch it. Cool?
Yeah, I'm just being a dick.
I know you were.
What were you going to say, Steve, before you cut off Faisal and he cut you off and Jesse cut you off and then to introduce Fit? There's a lot happening there.
So people saw the Pacioretty video, and then they saw that Burns was also there. And they were like, ask him if he thinks Downey should have won the Norris.
Why didn't you?
I should have. I didn't.
I'm disappointed.
Would you?
Just because people told me to, yeah. Just because people essentially dared me to.
I think you, especially with
That's a good reason to do things.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so.
People
Peer
dared me.
pressure.
Yeah, that never went poorly.
No.
That type of idea never went poorly. You know what? I have to say it would be a little bit intimidating because I think Brent Burns in real life, I've never met him, but I think he'd be kind of freaky.
So they were
He's
playing
big.
archery tag. I watched him fire an arrow at someone and in the same movement grab an arrow out of the air that someone fired at him.
Superhero.
And then dance around and scream with it, not worrying that someone would hit him, because what fool would shoot at him after that?
Yeah, seriously. Faisal, who is your interview that you're like, that was the best interview I ever did?
It's a pretty interesting question, seeing how I haven't interviewed many people in my lifetime. Again, I do a lot of studio stuff, so I don't get to branch out and do a lot of...
you will.
You will. Thank you very much. I just remember being in the Jays locker room the day Colabello got suspended. I was there doing some Facebook Live stuff for Sportsnet, so I kind of stuck my head into the scrums and talked to the players and stuff, and to be in that locker room that day, and you can tell there was a tension in there because things were kind of delayed that day more so than usual, and then to talk to the players who said a lot while not saying a lot, it was kind of nerve-wracking and intimidating because, again, I don't have a lot of experience being out in the field and actually talking to players. Like sometimes we'll have a random remote interview or Indy cars in town, so somebody will stop by or James Hinchcliffe will stop by and kind of,
or Tagliani or somebody. Yeah.
And it's kind of like a casual conversation. It's nothing crazy. But being in that locker room that day was just kind of intimidating because all the players were super tense. And you can tell that this was something that they were kind of shocked by or kind of taken back by. And I don't know why. I'll never forget just kind of being there, 3 months ago now and kind of just, whoa. This kind of happened. So there isn't a specific player, but that incident, I still get nervous because I was like, I don't want to do anything wrong in this locker room. I don't want to break any rules here by saying something or tweeting something or revealing something. And sorry.
Well, no. I think it's interesting that you say that because I imagine those players that when they get interviewed, they're in autopilot mode a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so when that happens, you're not in autopilot mode. Now you're just a raw nerve.
Yeah.
Because you're on that team.
A lot of the interview moments I remember the most are when players have been devastated by some. For me, I've never seen like a suspension or anything like that, but like crushing losses, like in a gold medal game. Stuff like that.
I went to spring training and I talked to players there, and I mean that was nothing. And win or lose, I don't think anybody remembered the score as they walked into the locker room.
Oh, but you got to go to spring training.
Spring training was awesome.
Oh my God,
man!
In April,
go to spring training. If people listening, if you're looking for a cool sports thing to do, just go to Florida in March and go watch baseball at a crappy stadium in a very intimate atmosphere with like 8,000 people maybe, and go catch 2 baseballs and then just go home a week later. You'll be done. You'll be tired of it, but it'd be so worth it.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
I have a bit of a story. I should have been in spring training with you. And I was told that I was going, but the problem is we have blackout periods in radio where you cannot leave, and so it's right. It is literally, you could not get more in the middle of our spring blackout period, so I could not leave. And I was supposed to be down there for Channel 1, so it would have been you and me hanging out then.
That'd be dope, Could have worn those cool shoes.
And by the way, the same thing, yeah, right? We're going to show off some damn shoes. The same thing will happen next year. They'll be like, well, you love sports, so let's send you. And then radio will be like,
same block.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll hold it down.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, anytime.
Work it in your contract. I get to go to spring training.
Come on, you got leverage.
You never know.
Yeah.
Adam, just do it. It's that easy.
That one specific.
You know what? I'll get on that.
And then ask for a couple more $1 million.
The thing about the thing about negotiating is it's almost like you're going to the table with Lou Lamoriello.
It's pretty scary.
Pretty
stuff,
scary.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not something I look forward to ever doing
No.
or having to do. And when they come to you and say, hey, this is what you're gonna make. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Let me sign the paper. Let me get that out of this.
You're
way,
keeping me cool.
Yeah,
I have to do this every year.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. So, okay. One thing I got to ask, and Faisal, I already know the answer to this question, but you're not playing Pokemon Go.
I am not playing Pokemon Go.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all.
What are your thoughts on people that do?
Look, first of all, I have no problem with people who do. I think if you're
No, just
interested,
because he's saying this because he saw me catching.
I saw him crazy.
I caught a wicked.
Before coming, we were late because he was playing.
Faisals being nice
We were
right
late
now.
for two reasons. One, dude forgot to ask for the pizza in the pizza store. Okay? That's cool. That's cool, Dangle.
Not forgot. Too afraid to.
Two.
Just the way he phrased it. I forgot to ask for pizza in the pizza store.
Two, at a
pizza you pay for.
crosslight where we were waiting for it to turn green, and as it did, Mr. Wild found a couple Pokemon that he had to catch. So
there was
And it was a Staryu.
Staryu.
and then a Jinx, and then a Paris.
Oh, you got 3?
Yeah.
That's worth it then. 2's not worth it. 3's all right. 3's all right.
And they were pretty high power ones too.
Where did we come up with these rules?
I just made that up right now.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
I like his
That's
rules.
fine now.
I like his rules. I'm
Suck
into
up
his
to the
rules.
guy asking me questions.
Well, okay. Now I want to. I saw this video, and I don't know why I want to play this, but it's this juice head talking about Pokemon Go, and I saw it, and I was like, this screams our podcast. So this juice head is not a fan of Pokemon Go, but I thought you guys would really appreciate it. And by the way, the video is titled Pokemon Go Bullshit. And this guy looks like a very haggard, over-tanned version of a WWE guy that was there for about 3 seconds.
When I see goatee and bandana, I think man with good ideas.
So here we go.
You know what? I'm a little guilty because last week I made an Instagram skit all about this fucking Pokemon Go bullshit
can
that's
you
going
pause?
around, not knowing too much about it.
Doesn't this guy already have enough of an outlet with his sports radio show in Pittsburgh?
Right? Yeah.
No, listen, guys. All right, so you got your Pikachu Go or whatever it's called, and I'm sick of it. Okay, some joker walks in front of my car the other day. You POS. It's like, figure it out. They don't say that in Pittsburgh,
No.
do they? No.
Here we go.
Okay.
You know what? I'm a little guilty because last week I made an Instagram skit all about this fucking Pokemon Go bullshit that's going around, not knowing too much about it. I thought it was just a little fad. It would fade out in a day or two. But every Instagram skit, every Instagram meme, every fucking Vine is about this fucking Pokemon Go shit. Pokestops and Poke Gyms. Well, I have a suggestion for you. Why don't you go to a real fucking gym and catch a fucking gains and chew? Instead of going to these Poke Gyms, it's fucking Monday, International Chest Day. Why don't you go catch yourself a Pumpasaurus Rex? All this bullshit. Stop acting like you're 12 years old. Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go, fuck yourself.
Right?
Well done.
Pumpasaurus Rex.
Pokemon Go fuck yourself.
And when I'm done catching a gains at you, I want you, Jake the Snake Roberts. I want you at WrestleMania 6. You and me. No holds barred.
We need one of those. I don't know if you've seen those old WWF breathe-in videos where they cut out all the words and it's just a bunch of breathing. Now, I saw that.
Why
and I
is
loved
he
it.
shirtless in his car?
Because he caught a fucking gains at you. That's why. It's International Chest Day. Don't you know?
A Survivor Series. You and me, Marty Jannetty. We are going toe to toe, and I will be the new Intercontinental Champion.
Is that not the best thing you've ever seen? I'm glad you appreciate that, Faisal. I'm really glad.
My
I
God.
don't think my opinion of Pokemon Go is as animated or heated or, I think about it as much as this guy, but that's pretty good.
Yeah. Although I don't think I'm that animated about anything. Yeah. It could be fucking anything. Imagine what that guy's like to hang out on a regular basis.
That's his regular voice, man.
Yeah. Oh my
I
God.
hate to see him when he's mad.
Anyway. Apparently his Robert Frank 615 if you want to follow him.
Yeah.
You know what's going to be great? The follow-up when he's addicted to Pokemon Go.
Yeah. That's where he was going with that.
All I wanted to do was catch a fucking drowsy, and I gave it a raspberry and threw a grape ball at it, and then it ran away.
I don't know what any of that means. That's cool.
I guess on that, now are we catching up with Liberty Village, or are we going straight to the press conference?
We go straight to the press conference.
Let's do it.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
First question.
That guy's face is too small for his neck. Like,
Yeah, well,
like he's definitely like. I don't think it's just the going to the gym part.
no. Well, yeah, that was
I
going
think
to be
him
my
and
lesson
John
for the
Jones
day.
and Brock Lesnar are friends. I think him and everyone Mark Hunt has ever faced in a UFC fight are friends.
Boys, yeah.
Yeah, and Steve, you got the same shade of dark purple when you were calling out Jake the Snake for WrestleMania, by the way. You got the same color as he did. But that's
It's been my dream to be the heavyweight champion, and then you interrupted the match. I want a big piece of you, Diamond Dallas Page. Oh my god!
It's good to know that we all spent our childhoods the same way.
Yeah, we.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. Yeah, that's good. All right, cool.
No voice now.
So what's your first question, Jess?
Michael wants to know, when did you become so fashionable? And is Steve...
Damn, I want to know that too. And to follow up on that, hints on picking the right suit, because there's so many guys walking out around there with not the right suit, and you are always the guy wearing the right suit. So there's a part A and a part B.
Okay, so there's a couple answers to this. One, I own a fashion company. I own a clothing company with one of my friends.
Oh, okay.
No idea.
A clothing company, Simple As Co. That started while I recovered from hip surgery. So my friend and I were like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, all right. I don't know. And he's like,
I'll be an
"All right."
entrepreneur.
Yeah, so we started planning it then. A year later, after I was back in work, we launched it, and it's been pretty dope. He runs a lot of it now because I'm busy, and he is too now, but it's been dope. So fashion's always kind of been ingrained in my mind, but I think when I started, when the takeover happened, Sportsnet from The Score, and they allowed me to start wearing suits instead of plaid t-shirts wherein I could play checkers on, I literally had all the plaid shirts in the world. I was known as the guy who wore plaid because The Score, super casual. They don't want you guys in suits. They don't want you in blazers. They want plaid shirts, jeans, nice.
Weird to think that Elliot Friedman was at one point not allowed to wear a suit.
Everybody, Elliot,
and
Tim,
Darren Dreger,
Sid,
Tim and
think
Sid.
about all those guys that come through that building.
Yeah.
They were all super casual back in the day.
Jackie, Sophia.
Yes.
Wow, they all came from the damn.
And we did all right there. But when I started getting allowed to wear suits is when I knew I could start pushing the envelope. So Deb and Jess,
stylist at Rogers.
Stylist extraordinaires at Rogers, took me and said, hey, you want to be a little daring? And I said, yes, I want to finally be a little daring. I always loved colored socks. And I figured, why not just go with the suits as well? Why not be a 20-something-year-old guy on TV in this country and not just wear gray and blue all the time? And I got red suits, green suits, pink suits, purple suits, yellow suits. I got them all. So I think the evolution was complete 3 years ago. And I don't know if I could evolve anymore, but it's pretty crazy now. So I'd say when I started at Sportsnet is when the fashion became a big part of what I did, because the exposure became a little bit more prominent.
Huge.
Therefore, I figured the personality the clothes should match your personality a little bit more as well.
Most guys, and I was like this until I was on TV regularly, own one suit.
Yes.
They own the suit that they have to wear to weddings.
Yes.
And funerals. And it's black.
Yeah.
It's black.
Up until last summer, the only suit I had, I bought for prom. So I had it for about 9 years.
That's a good suit. You got some legs out of that.
Yeah. Still fit.
Did you wear that for your wedding, or did you have a tux for that?
Did I wear my prom suit to my wedding, Adam Wild?
I was in the wedding party.
I know that.
By the way,
I bought two last summer.
Did you buy that suit for prom?
I mean, yeah.
Did I? Or did your parents?
See, I hadn't begun video blogging yet.
Oh, so you didn't get it for free.
My shower of free things had not yet begun.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Faisal.
Yeah.
What are the keys? Because it's an uncomfortable experience shopping,
Yes,
especially
it is.
guys are really weird about it. I am.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I think you just go in with some confidence, and when the person asks, hey, what are you looking for? when the person asks, what exactly you're looking for, just be like, I don't know, show me your craziest thing. Let's just go from there. We start eliminating from the top down, We know what you like. We know what you like. We know what you're looking for. You're probably looking for a blue or gray suit, fine, but just challenge yourself to try something on that's different. Just try something on that's a different color. Try something on that's a little tighter. Your suit pants leg don't need to be baggy. You can have them hemmed and have them tight, and your jacket, doesn't need to be, you don't need to be swimming in it. It could be nice and tight. Just allow them to help you. You don't think you need to go in alone. Look at pictures of your favorite dressed people online and go in with it. You know how some people go into a haircut with the haircut I want?
Yeah.
Go in with the suit style or suit color you want and be like, I want to look like so-and-so. They'll be like, you can't look like so-and-so. You're not that good looking, but we can try.
We can
try.
get 50%.
Well, sorry, I heard that. I don't know. But, I don't know, man. I think a lot of people need to be more daring. I think we see it more. There's a lot more color on TV in terms of what people wear. A lot more pocket squares and color ties and lapel flowers and stuff like that. I know sports in the States has become almost a fashion thing as well now. It's more so than just about the personalities. It's a lot about what they wear. And I think Canada's slowly evolving. You're a perfect example. You dress extremely. Greg Zahn. Don Cherry in himself. But Greg is kind of in the classy Don Cherry way. It's not vibrant in the patterns, but it's beautiful in the pattern and the color. And I can see his suits up close. And man, the detail is incredible. And I think, if you want a cool suit, you're going to pay a little bit more for it, but it's it's custom to your body, it's custom to your liking.
And that's the key.
I think that's the key.
Get one custom to your body. Yep, absolutely. And it is a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it.
It's going to last a lot longer as well. You're not going to fiddle with it as much as you would with a normal suit. Oh, this is too big, a little too small. I should hem it myself. No, they'll take care of it for you, and it'll be done. And one thing that people forget, the shirt doesn't need to be big either. Get a shirt that fits you as well. Get it tailored a little bit. Take a little bit from the back. You don't need that extra shirt hanging over the suit pants anymore. It's not 1984.
It affects how the rest of the suit fits
you. Absolutely. I think I've seen it get better over the years, and that's kind of why I continue to try to raise the game as well, because everyone else is kind of doing it.
Absolutely. And and that's the thing is that for someone like me, it's a little bit weird that we're talking about fashion, but one of the big things I have is, my clothing sponsor is Ted Baker. And great brand.
Excuse me.
What they do is listen, I don't get to keep it. It's they say, here, wear this, and then we're taking that back.
Sure.
Now.
Okay.
The problem that I have is that I played hockey for years, and I have thick hockey legs.
Yeah.
So
he's got a dunk.
So the Ted Baker pants are literally, it's like they spray painted them on, and the pockets are flaring so hard, it's almost like they're gonna fall off. So maybe don't go that tight. But understand, if you are a guy like me, ask them to let a little bit of that out from the.
Absolutely, lets them out.
Because you can do that. They still fit you, and that's a good thing. Anyway, I think it's important. We had to talk about that. Yeah. I had to bring that up because your fashion, man, is on point.
Say the same thing back to you. Not you. Oh, am I right, Steve? But you're getting there.
The second half of the tweet was, "Is Steve jealous?"
Is he?
So.
Oh, I'm jealous of you.
Thank you.
I'm not jealous of Adam.
Because he doesn't wear Quaker shoes.
That's part of the reason you're on the show. I'm like, teach me.
We'll go to Simple Ask. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Next question.
This one's from our Reddit page. It says, you're the head of NHL marketing. What's the first change you make? This is for everyone.
Head of NHL marketing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, fine. I'm going to wait. I don't know. I'm thinking about this.
Head of NHL marketing.
Put Dangle in all my video. No.
Fix the fucking website.
The website, eh? The website's not that great,
so true.
Website is a piece of...
I doubt that even falls under marketing,
sure,
but you're right.
But that's a pretty, I can tell you've been thinking about that one for a long time. And a lot of hockey bloggers are upset about that website.
I used to use it every single day, multiple times. And now I don't even go because I know it's not going to give me what I need. You know what? They have hired some good writers. The navigation of the site is garbage. It's garbage. You wouldn't get an A in university if you submitted that for a project. Mm-hmm. It is a garbage piece of shit website. Fix it.
Wow.
Oh. MLB.com is fantastic. You can follow the game. I was at the Jays game yesterday, and I was following the game from my phone, and we could see in real time whether a strike call was bullshit, whether a
So not like the Islanders in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Not like those guys, right?
So but it wasn't me actually watching the game. It was a compliment to what was happening right in front of my face. It was a compliment to it. The NHL website is not a compliment to anything. It's just garbage.
It's just there.
It's a lot of white space. There is. There's
literally
and
white space.
And the thing about white space on a website is that it looks like unsold advertising space. Like, that's all it looks like.
It doesn't look right.
Yeah, put a background on. It's not hard. For me, if you don't mind, if you're still holding off,
I don't know here.
I think for me, it would absolutely be about the development of the personality stars in the game. Yeah. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have to be, we're not talking about like Chad Ochocinco here. We don't need, not that he was even that negative. He was just outspoken, which I really liked. But what you want is to encourage an environment where crazy things like John Scott getting into the All-Star game and PK Subban being a person who you seem like you can sit down and have a beer with, that's celebrated. And I would start putting pressure on the NHL teams to do something about it. And I mean pressure. I mean real pressure. Unfortunately, in certain cases, like you look at the NFL, there's rumors about the NFL getting a little too cozy, the NFL league itself getting a little too cozy with, like, say, the Peyton Mannings or the Tom Bradys, and then having to go overboard when they get suspended because, well, we don't want to seem like we're too close to them. But the NFL does an incredible job of creating personalities. And you think about the NFL player, average NFL player doesn't make it 5 years, right? They don't make it 5 years. They're in and they're out. And these guys are stars for the time that they're there. And that, to me, that's my thing. Hockey needs stars.
So I'm gonna piggyback on that because I think the NBA does such a great job of promoting their rookies, promoting their star players, putting them in commercials, and making them personable to players. And not even in a way that's like inauthentic. They make fun of themselves. And D'Angelo Russell had that whole phone incident with Nick Young, Swaggy P, blown up in his face where it recorded him saying, yeah, hook up with all these women. And his wife, Iggy Azalea, her fiance, was like, nah, I'm not about that life.
Yeah,
Nick
of
Young,
course.
Next commercial that comes out with D'Angelo Russell, he's telling a rookie to throw away his phone because it may not work. I think NHL players are personable enough that we can see them in things like this and have fun with their personalities a little bit more. And that, before you even said it, that's what I was thinking. I'd just like to see more of their personalities come to the forefront because I think, and you know this probably more than anyone else here, they are personable people. They have a lot of personalities in them.
Yeah, but they're terrifying.
I've met so many of them, and there are so few that I dislike. A lot of them are kind of vanilla, little milquetoast or whatever. But I mean, I've said this for a long time. Like, I've seen... Like, I don't know if I've ever interviewed PK for, like, a broadcaster or an outlet. The only time I've ever spoken to him was for brands. It was for Nike, it was for Samsung and stuff like that. And brands worship the ground this guy walks on because he sells and he's a delight to work with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The NHL should look at him the exact same way. Every team should look at him the exact same way. I think the Preds will. He might be better off there.
For sure.
And the league might be better off that he's there.
He will be a celebrity there. He already is, but
I think he already is. Coming in, going to that bar and singing Johnny Cash with a cowboy hat on and
just doing it.
First day he's
cheering
there.
him up. Yeah.
By the way, Montreal will rue this day a long time.
Well,
I mean, the fan. No, but I mean, like, the fans are, because the fans didn't want that deal.
No.
They're going to hate this because he's going to be everywhere. Everywhere.
But to get off the PK train, I'll give you an example. And he was groomed to be boring from the moment he was even whispered in the NHL. Sidney Crosby.
Oh,
groomed to be boring. I don't think he's that boring.
You think McDavid's the same way? Groomed to be boring?
yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Lest we say anything that might slightly offend somebody. You know, I missed the days when Eric Lindros and Mario Lemieux were like, "No, I'm not going to stand up and go and get that jersey on. You guys don't want me." But like, do you remember that Mario Lemieux comment from the '84 draft? He wouldn't go put the Pittsburgh Penguins jersey on. He said, "No, because they don't want me enough." Because they couldn't come to terms on a deal. Eric Lindros was like, I'm
not playing for Quebec.
I'm not playing for Quebec. Get out of here. I'm not going to disappear. I'm going to go to Philly or wherever. You know, he didn't know Philly at the time, but you know, that sort of stuff came out. We saw that with Brett Hull. We saw that with Jeremy Roenick, and Jeremy Roenick is a bit of a windbag on NBC most of the time, but at least he's entertaining.
I didn't mind him when he was in the league.
I loved him when he's in the league.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that we need. We had marketable stars.
I think basketball does it right. They do it so well, and the players are young and vibrant, and they're understand
cool.
the culture. They're cool. That's it. They're cool. They're just cool. I think NHL players could be eventually if you start it at some point.
Absolutely.
You gotta start it.
Absolutely.
Okay, is there... I just thought of this, so it's probably wrong. Does the NBA do a good job of establishing heroes and villains, you think?
I think the players kind of do it themselves. Like Kevin Durant, who was for always in everyone's eyes a hero, is now a massive villain because he's joining the best team. So they always have these foils. LeBron was a foil for so many years, leaving Cleveland, bolting on a live TV show, and going to a different team. Joining this super Miami Heat team, he became a villain, and people rally around him. Teams rally around him. Narratives and ESPN promos or NBA promos rallied around the fact that you're playing this evil empire in LeBron James, and then he wins his championship. Everyone loves him again. The Boston teams with Kevin Garnett. That guy was an asshole. That guy is an asshole. And they celebrate that stuff because it's good marketing to just do that. And I think you asked that question, and it's absolutely right. The amount of times we're going to see Kevin Durant pinned as a devil with other teams in town, or if they go to another team city, the narrative is going to spin around the fact that Kevin Durant joins a super team. We can take them down, Hey, it's like a wrestling. It's almost like wrestling.
It's like the face and the heel.
Yeah.
The Warriors last year were face.
Yes. Oh, they turned heel so quickly.
They turned heel so quick
in the finals, and with Kevin Durant have made
Draymond Green.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Durant with the signing. Everyone making fun of Steph Curry's shoes. When did Steph Curry become a heel?
Steph Curry looks like a child that I just put him in my pocket and take him home with me.
You want to pinch his cheeks.
Everybody hates
People started ripping Aisha Curry. What? You could never have called that a year ago.
Nope.
People were hating on Steph's child when she was the love child of everybody a year ago.
It wasn't even a year; it was a week before.
And by the way, you're hating on a child.
You're hating on a child.
It's a child.
I'm hating on a child.
It's but this is what's so fun.
I love it.
Could we have this same conversation and it be an NHL thing? And
No, definitely not right now.
And are we an NHL focused show?
Yes.
Yeah. And we couldn't even do that.
Hell, we're an NHL focused network. If you think about it, we can't do that.
Here's the
There's
other
no
thing.
if you think about it.
We're an NHL focused network.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, and that's what's so funny in all of this too. And then you've got Taylor Hall and PK leaving the country, and make no mistake, that is a huge loss. Huge loss. Just at a time when the NHL teams in this country are starting to look up. I mean, it literally got as low as it could get last year. If Montreal plays normal hockey, they'll make the playoffs.
Carey Price is back. That should be all right.
Yeah, Ottawa will. It looks like they need to make the playoffs. So they're going to try. I don't know how.
Third spot in the Atlantic is wide open. You got Tampa, Florida, and then take your guess.
Yeah, and then you've got Vancouver having to make the playoffs because the Aquilinis allegedly want to sell. Edmonton finally looks good. Calgary will somewhat return to form, although I think last year was more indicative of what they actually are.
I think Calgary might be the most improved team in the league.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Their goaltending sucked worse than any others by far, and
their
now
coaching's
it's decent.
better too.
Yeah.
I think
And their coaching's
they took
better.
a huge leap in coaching this year.
And then
you
you've
watch
got
for Calgary.
the
Don't
Winnipeg
worry.
Jets probably being an extraordinarily sleeper solid team.
They'll be fun to watch.
They'll be
Yeah.
fun to watch.
They're gonna be a
too.
fun team.
Yeah, and Toronto at least has some hope. They probably won't make the playoffs, but at least they got some hope.
Regardless of how good they end up being, pretty much all the Canadian teams will be absolutely worth watching.
Yes.
The Canucks for the Gong Show.
Oh yeah.
The Oilers for McDavid. Calgary will be a good team, I think. The Jets could surprise.
And Lionel's there. He's gonna be fun to watch.
And
That
Lion
guy's
will
gonna
be fun to
super
watch.
Yeah.
You got the Leafs and Matthews, and you want to see how much they rise.
Montreal with the Weber and the
then
Price and everything, kind of in a gong show in itself, right?
And
That's
the Bynum,
a huge Gong Show.
or was it not Bynum? What was his name? The deaf guy.
Farnham?
Farnham.
Bobby Farnham?
Bobby
You
Farnham.
couldn't even think of
Bobby
it.
Farnham.
You call
Sorry,
him
apologies to Bobby Farnham.
Andrew Bynum from the NBA.
and then there's the Sens, and I mean, finish there. So
6 out of 7. Yeah, that's not bad, right?
Yeah, 6
it
out of
always
7 ain't
comes back
bad.
to 67.
Oh. Anyway, I don't know. It's very. It's just interesting. It's just very, very interesting. That's a great question. We have another one?
Josh wanted to know, what was your first impression of Steve? Like when
Of
you first
Steve?
Yeah.
Man, he's a crazy person. But in the best way possible, man. I think what I liked about Steve, is that he just did it. He just wanted to do something his own way, and he kind of went and did it. And like when I started my sports blog, I had no idea like who you were or anything related to what you were doing. I started this in university, and it kind of led me to where I am now as well. But you just take a chance. You kind of put yourself out there and hope for the best. And once I found out about who you were, I saw your video, I turned down the volume, and then I was like, all right, let's watch this again.
Do you blow your computer speakers?
And yeah. Bought new speakers and listened again. No, man, I just... I hadn't met you for a long time. I'd followed you for a long time. I found out that you were hired at Sportsnet. You sent those cool newsletters to us, hockey-wise, and kept us prepped for the day, I guess. But then I met you one day.
But I guess you mean nobody read them?
No, you
got a lot of thank yous, right?
Yeah. No.
I'm just giving him hell.
He put a contest in one of them, and I won one of them because I found Avril Lavigne in one of them.
Oh, someone was like, I hope you're not just giving that to your buddy Faisal. I'm like, man, I like barely know Faisal.
You won.
He won fair and square.
And I don't know. I just saw the evolution of the videos, the growing fan base, and man, you're just who you are. And I think in this industry in 2016, you kind of have to be that way to make yourself known. And there's enough kind of vanilla broadcasters across the world and doing sports. And I've heard this on your podcast so many times from so many guys. Sports should be fun. Sports should be fun. And a lot of times we lose that focus. And you're trying to bring that back. You brought it back in your capacity. I'm trying to bring it back. It's a little harder on TV sometimes when you're so formally processed. But I slip in the odd Drake line here and there and the pop culture reference because that's who I am. And I think again, I'm a 20-year-old in my 20s talking sports in this country. It's literally the dream job. Why not just have fun with it? And I think you're doing exactly that, and I apprecited that.
Well, that is one of the
you very much.
best things. That is amazing.
Adam and Jesse never say things that nice.
None of it's true.
It's true. All right.
And for you, Faisal, as long as we're going to gush about each other.
We don't need to go. You know what? Gush for a second.
One of the things I look forward to, watching TV, especially seeing you on TV. So, when you're doing the highlights, there's only so much freedom you really have, right?
Yeah.
You kind of got to get in, get out.
Yeah.
People don't realize, like, those highlights are on their TV for, like, what, as little as 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And, like, 90's pushing it, right?
Yeah. You're not getting 90s. You're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, not a whole lot of freedom. But I do enjoy when you get the rare opportunity. It's, Faisal's about to tell a story.
Yeah. Love telling stories.
I'm trying to think of an example, but
any intro that you do really when you're especially at that standing screen that you guys have.
Yes, we have a little more autonomy with that, and
yes, I like those.
Yeah, and when I hosted Tim and Sid a couple times over the last couple weeks, which was really, really cool. Really, really cool for a guy who grew up watching them. But what you just said right there, the ability to be free and kind of be yourself and kind of be smart and funny and sarcastic. Got to do a lot of it then, and it was great. And I think a lot of people within and outside the company saw more than just a guy that can speak for 15 seconds, throw to a clip,
right,
and kind of tag that with something, and it was really, really great to do. And before that, a lot of people would say, like before hosting Tim and Sid, the first show, someone's like, hey man, you're sitting in Sid's chair, and if you guys know Sid Sixero, super outspoken, super volatile at times, hot take, and someone's like, you gotta be like Sid. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be, this is my chance to kind of shine. This is my chance to kind of show my personality, show that I know what I'm talking about, and I can be Faisal, like you said, and it was cool to do that. And
that's
again,
your brand.
I've got a lot of opportunity to do that over the last year, and yeah, it's dope, man. So thank you.
I know whose chair it is, but pull out your wallet and check the driver's license. It's not Sid Sixero. It's Faizal Khamisa. So
filling in. Yeah.
Way less money than him. Way.
It's hard to do what he does. Like that guy makes me look calm.
Which is the rarest thing you can say.
Oh yeah. It's hard to be that passionate about that many things.
Faizal, I don't want to end on a negative note, but I have to ask this question because I think it's something that everybody is kind of it's in our faces every single time we turn on a computer. You've obviously been paying attention, like we all have, to varying degrees to the election that's going on in the States.
Yeah.
I want to know what it's like to be a Muslim with all of this going on.
It's hard, man. It's hard to listen to it day in and day out and think about, again, the evolution of my parents and what they've had to fight through in itself just by being a certain race or being a certain, religious or being a certain type of religious background. And to think in 2016, we've gone so far backwards, it's upsetting. It's genuinely upsetting, and I get racist tweets all the time, and I still.
Do you really?
Yeah, all the time, man. And I can't
believe it.
I can't believe it. I can't though. I can't believe that in 2016
Here especially.
we're still getting that in this country. And
Sorry.
yeah, no,
what,
no.
You know what I meant by that, though,
No,
right?
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely. And I think the more
are
and
there
more I see them,
that many stupid people? Yes.
There are that many stupid
there
people.
are.
man. And it's upsetting. And I used to be like, all right, well, at least they're watching, kind of thing. But no, like, yeah, I know they're watching. I'm on a pretty big network in this country. Sure, thanks for watching, but don't do that, man. Like, don't. That ruins my day. Like, there was one time, a Sunday afternoon, just casually barbecuing with my family, and someone sent in a tweet related to ISIS and me being on TV and being something stupid like that, and it literally ruined the rest of my day. And
There's
is
nothing
like,
worse than a fuck your day up tweet.
yeah,
Yep.
like
I
come on,
hate
you
a
know,
fuck your
and,
day up
and then
tweet.
you see everything that's going on south of the border. I have family that lives in the States. I visited the States many times. To think that in power could be a person that is so, let's say it, racist, and so goddamn ignorant to the realities of what's going on in the world today, and so. I don't even know the word. So stupid. Just so stupid. It pains me, man. And
Asinine.
I think, yeah.
Like, I can't believe.
Yeah.
Send an email to yourself from like 2011 that Donald Trump is this fucking close to being the president.
Yeah. Yeah. And
2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, you ask, and like, I get.
How is this a conversation we're having?
Yeah, exactly.
He
man.
was still a Celebrity Apprentice guy.
Yeah.
A joke.
You're fired.
Yeah.
But
A
except
laughing joke.
Yeah.
you're about to be hired.
Well,
as
and the fact
president.
that now Omarosa is the head of African American outreach for the Trump campaign.
Stop. No.
That is
You're
actually-
making that up. You
Jesse,
read
you wanna
that.
Google
No,
it?
it's fact.
Get the
This is real. This is happening. Faisal, the reason I bring that up
Yeah.
is because I think there's a lot of people who are freaked out, Muslim or otherwise. We are. And it's a topic that we cannot run from. We can't, not even on this show.
No.
And I want to know what it is you say to people, and this is going to be a bit of a tough question, what it is you say to people that say your religion is the reason for these attacks.
Listen, man, I think, and I don't think I've found a lot of people in my life that have come out and said that to me, but I see it online all the time. And if I tweet something related to one of the hateful things that this man is saying, I'll get a lot of flack back. And if you think religion defines the act, of what people are doing, and then you're stupider than I think, and then you probably deserve the fate that you get by electing this man into office if that's what you choose to do. But I don't know what to say. It's a tough question because it leaves you speechless, again, to think in 2016 that you have to answer to a question like that, man. We've come such a long way in our life. Like, it was in the 70s, 1972, where Pierre Elliott Trudeau, father of current Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, allowed these Muslims into this country. And you think over 40 years, they've built a life for themselves. They've taken positions of office. They are pretty important. Like, Canada's as diverse as it is for reasons like that, for allowing people
Because
who
people
are
are
abandoned
people.
by other places in the world to come in and recreate their home here. And if you have to answer to what they're doing and answer questions for the acts of senseless, stupid people, it's not worth having a conversation, man. It boils me just to think about it, and that's nobody's fault. It is the world we live in, and it is something that you face every single day, especially being a visible minority, especially being on TV, especially being someone that's not, yes, I'm not going to chime in on every single issue, but if I did, I'd probably lose my job. But, when things get crazy, I remember in Don Mills a couple months ago, someone throwing a rock at a lady with a hijab on just because she was Muslim, and that was after an attack in some part of the world. And ignore my ignorance, I don't remember when, because again, it happens so often.
It's happened a lot, yeah.
I don't remember when, and I just tweeted that, we as a country, Canada, we're better than this, and people started bringing my race into, oh, you think you're better than us? I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying, man. I just think we as people in 2016 just need to be better, I've already overcome enough shit in my life, man, that like, to have to answer for that, for being born and practicing a certain religion, is just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
And let me just say, I'm sorry that I had to ask the question.
I don't blame you at all, man. I completely agree that it's a conversation, and I think the message is clear for a lot of people too. You don't need to defend your religion. You don't. If you have to defend your religion to other people, it's just not a conversation worth having, because people are stupid and they're going to continue to be stupid whether you defend or not. Even if you put out the most calculated and thoughtful argument as to why targeting a certain religious group is stupid, they're just not going to believe it, because their thought is their thought for a reason. So save your breath, save your energy, save yourself from getting an ulcer by thinking and
you're not going to convert these people.
Stupid. There's no substitute for stupid. I always say that. And I think, again, Canada, we're great. We have a wonderful country where it doesn't happen too often, but when it does happen, it still just boils me, because we can be better than our friends down south right now, because
and we hope our friends down south, many of which are listeners, are hearing this, and obviously I think a lot of the
and
people
are
that
mortified by it. By the way.
Yeah, well, they will be. I know that, and I also think that, quite honestly, many of them would be on our side of the spectrum anyway.
I agree.
I don't think you can listen to the show and be an ultra conservative. I really just like, we're just not that type of people. We probably wouldn't appeal to you. But Faizal, I gotta say, you are an absolute inspiration.
Thank you.
Truly.
Thanks.
The strength and perseverance that you have, and that you've always had, is incredible. And I know that you're humble, and you give credit to all your family and all your friends for supporting you. They deserve it. But my God, man, you are unbelievable, and it is such a pleasure to have had you here.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, listen, anyone listening, again, it's not the worst shit in the world when something happens, man. Just keep pushing yourself. And look, 10 years later, cancer to national anchor on Sportsnet, it's not impossible. So, yeah, keep fighting. You'll be all right.
Hey, just national anchor on Sportsnet. You could have said that, and we were like, wow.
Well, what's your full-time job?
Oh, man, thank you guys, man. Thank you.
No worries. Steve, anything else to add?
Hey, you're pretty rad. No, I just invited you on because I thought you wore nice suits. I didn't know all the other stuff. No, man.
Thanks, Steve.
No, I love what you're doing with the hospital. I feel like I saw that first, that you were doing stuff with the hospital before I knew you even went through any of that.
Yeah.
And then obviously that hospital has helped us out in obviously different respects.
Everybody has look. That's what I found with this toy drive. Everybody had a story that related back to that place, whether it be a family member, a friend, or one of their own children. Unfortunately, but everybody knows how good the good work that place does. So it was easy to get a lot of support, obviously.
And I think there's things you gotta respect in this world, and one of the things I respect a lot, because like, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to.
See, I feel like I do. It's weird.
Well, and this is,
and I know what you mean. Like, nobody has to do anything. You don't have to do anything.
Exactly. You could just as easily sit there and not do that.
Yeah,
is basically what I'm saying. And I think people should respect and appreciate people who choose not to do that. Instead, they choose to have an active, positive impact on the world they're living in. And I think you do that, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that, man.
So we'll be back. We are back next week with this, or when do you go to Scotland?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Okay,
August 10th. I think we have at least one more show.
I think we got one more show before you go to Scotland. We take a couple weeks off. We have no idea what's happening next week, but we'll
have a show next Tuesday.
We do have a show next Tuesday.
That's all that you need to say.
Okay.
Or Thursday.
I think
next week sometime.
Should I not?
I don't know.
think Christina Rutherford's coming
Okay,
on.
cool.
But who knows? She's probably going to have to interview Wayne Gretzky or some craziness and Michael Jordan at the same time.
What does she even do here? I mean, really?
Besides everything.
Everything. Faizal, honestly, been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have you on again already.
Yeah, thank you.
And congratulations on all your success. You're heading for the top, buddy.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate having me on.
We will be back next Tuesday on the Steve Dangle podcast, brought to you by Panago Pizza. I don't actually have to say that right now because, I mean, we have to say that in the radio portion. But
we are, though.
We are.
We are brought to you by them.
Oh, I forgot the puck again.
It's okay, though. I didn't see the puck, so I put this chili shaker there.
Yay!
In its place.
By the way, that's for anybody that watches the videos.
I shook it into the mic because I am a broadcaster, Adam.
You know, I wanted to leave on that note, but then I realized I was like, we're missing a prime opportunity here. We're missing a prime opportunity. So, Steve,
and how will you be making fun of me?
I'm not making fun of you.
How will you be making fun of me?
I'm merely asking that you call out Christina Rutherford in your to promo next week in your wrestling voice.
Oh,
maybe
promo for next week's show.
Yeah, basically. Because Christina Rutherford, by the way, is like the nicest human being in the world.
By the way, it'll be a Hell in the Cell match if you weren't aware. So
I don't have the crazy sunglasses, so instead I will just use my regular glasses.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Christina Rutherford, okay? Everyone's talking about Christina Rutherford, all right? Everyone's talking about her. She's such a big deal, all right? She got to interview Phil Kessel, okay, with his Stanley Cup. And she got to interview, what's-his-name, Jay Happ, one of the pitchers for the Blue Jays. They got tons of pitchers on that team, okay? And she gets to go to Newfoundland with John Scott, the All-Star. And she gets to have the screech, and she gets to kiss a God. Well, you know what? You can kiss this elbow if you don't come on this podcast, Christina. I want a big piece of you for the Intercontinental Championship. Yeah.
Hell in the Cell.
Hell in the Cell is where I'm going to win that championship.
Steve
Okay,
Well done. Well done.
gotta work on my Macho Man.
you didn't call him Mean Gene. You know what, Mean Gene?
You know what, Gene? I gotta tell you.
Amazing. We will see you next week.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.